Are you considering purchasing new construction in the greater Philadelphia area? There's some great reasons to buy new construction, and there's also some things you want to be aware of before you make that commitment. So I'm going to break down the pros and cons for you next, and you'll want to stay tuned until the end because the last point that we have may surprise you a little bit. It's one of the pros. It may surprise you big time. And if you get some value out of this, you like what you hear, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, and if you want to schedule a call with our team about real estate and navigating these needs, we can certainly help you with that, and you can do that by clicking on the link in the comments to schedule a time with one of our killer agents. So, new construction. It's sexy, it's fun, and there's some great reasons to buy new construction, and there's also some reasons you probably don't want to buy new construction. I'm going to start off with the pros. The cons may surprise you, but I'm going to start off with the pros. Pro number one, nobody's lived in the home before. It's your property. It's new. It's exactly how you want it, and you're going to make sure that everything is functioning. You have the ability to, in most cases with the builder, establish a punch list and do multiple walkthroughs, and there's going to be a warranty attached to it that's going to cover the home for certain periods of time and certain systems. So, like when you buy a new car, there's going to be a little clarity behind that. It's going to help you a little bit because you know they're going to be committed to fixing things that may go wrong. You also know all the ages of the systems. There is only known quantities when you're buying new construction. It's not like an older home where you're guessing or trying to figure things out and relying on the records of a homeowner. These are all documented, and the builder is typically very clear in moving forward with those things. So a lot more certainty. It's brand new. Nobody's owned it before. Pro number two, builders, unless there's a real challenge in the market, will continue to slightly raise the prices as they build the homes. This happens all the time where they want to sell a few, then the price may go up. They want to sell a few, and the price may go up. So there's some equity that can get built there pretty quickly if you're buying in the right community. Now, this doesn't always happen, and some homes upgrade more than others. Typically, you're going to see the demand for new homes be very specific, and builders do try to raise those prices as they're building the community. The third pro are builder incentives. This is a great way to save some money. So a lot of builders have their own mortgage company they work with. A lot of builders have their own title company they work with. Oftentimes, the lender can offer you a decently lower rate than what you're able to get from an outside lender because they're financing the project. Maybe they're tied to the bank that's financing the project. There's a lot of intertwined businesses here. So the fact that you can get some incentives, whether it's a lower mortgage rate, maybe they're going to throw in some options or some upgrades when you use their affiliated services, that's a great bonus for a buyer that you can't get on a used property. So that's something that doesn't exist with resales in most cases. Now, there's going to be some one-offs like assumable loans and those sort of things. This is a relatively standard offering that comes from builders with new construction. And the last pro here that I want to hit on with new construction is that they're going to come back through and do a punch list after the first year with you in most cases. Now, not every builder is going to be the same. So you want to be really mindful of understanding what their processes are. But if you've got a 1-year punch list afterwards and maybe a 20-year structural warranty, you can get some things fixed that may be defective after the first couple months. That's not the case when you buy a used home. So there's a lot of great reasons to buy a new home. Now, there's also some cons here. So con number one, at least in the greater Philadelphia area, are property taxes. Because for whatever reason, with the exception of some incentives in Philadelphia, homes in the suburbs are assessed based on the time of build. So newer homes typically have higher property taxes than an older home. So you may have a higher property tax bill because of that. A bonus hack here is I would automatically appeal any taxes that you get once the tax bill comes in, because you don't know what they are when you go to settlement. The taxes have to come in once the county comes out and assesses. So I would automatically appeal those taxes right away, and I would imagine you're going to get a savings on your tax rate. But the taxes typically are going to come in a good bit higher on new construction. Con number two, you don't really know what the neighbors are going to be like. It's a new community. You can't drive through the neighborhood and see how it's going to look. You might be living there while it's under construction. You can't see people kind of interacting on the weekend or at night. And that's one of the great ways to understand if a neighborhood's going to be for you is to drive through it and get a feel for it And it's a little tougher to do with new construction because they're still building the community. So that can be a potential con if you don't know what you're getting into. You also don't know who your neighbors are going to be. At least sometimes you can see the neighbors, and neighbors are always an unknown. Don't get me wrong. You're going to have an idea how they're going to keep their home in a used community or in a non-new construction community, I should say, versus a place that's brand new because sometimes the people haven't even moved in yet. Con number 3, upgrades versus the standards, right? So there's 2 reasons you want to be mindful of this. And you really want to pay attention here because the base level finishes are typically pretty basic stuff. Maybe it's a basic tile floor, a basic vinyl floor, Formica countertops, base level appliances. That's what's included in the base price. You're probably going to pay a good bit more off the base price when you're upgrading the home. Do you want the upgraded kitchen? Do you want, quartz or granite countertops? Do you want hardwood floors? Do you want upgraded tile? All that stuff's going to come into play afterwards, and it's going to be on top of the base price. So be very mindful. The base price is really the starting point, and you've got to see what's included as the standards and what upgrades you may want to put into the home. And that also goes with the base price is typically not negotiable. Builders don't tend to negotiate that much. And the reason they do that is because base prices are a place where they need to keep the integrity of the price in the community. It's really tough to do. So those non-negotiables, you might have to try to negotiate some incentives or some options to be thrown in if you want to try and negotiate. Typically, builders are very rigid on negotiations. And the last con here, and this is the one you want to really pay attention to, is that not every builder is going to be the same. You've got to do your homework on the builders you're working with. Some builders are great. Some are very middle of the road. Some, they are going to be known for not hitting their deadlines, not delivering the property on time, not following through on what people actually want. And the builder that you end up working with is going to determine if you're happy with your new home or not. So there's some great national builders. National builders are going to be very by the book. There's some great local builders. They're going to be a little more flexible. Then there's some bad national builders and some bad local builders. And you want to do your research and understand who you're working with because this is going to take some time to build these properties. I'm not talking about the spec home. This is a build your own. And if they have a track record of not closing on time or just not getting things done, your life is going to get disrupted. So there's a lot more uncertainty when it comes to dealing with builders. You've got to do your research. So that should break down the pluses and minuses of new construction. Hopefully you got some value out of this. If you're thinking about buying a new construction home, you need some advice, click on the link in the comments and we can give you the right guidance.